So what you want to be able to do is have your knees in line with your hips, or else even just a little bit lower, but you don't want, like when I'm sitting on this chair, I can actually swing my legs. So a cushion on the floor, just to give me a little bit of support, and have your feet hip width distance apart. So you feel that you're stable, you're not having the knees falling out to the side, because that kind of imbalances the stability of your hips. So feet flat on the floor and in line with each other. And bring your bum to the back of the chair and sit your back just very slightly away from the back of the chair. Palms of the hands resting on the lap. If at any point you feel that it's just too uncomfortable, then by all means sit back in the chair, but see if you can just have a kind of an awake posture, sort of sitting up awake, but not leaning too far forward, just for a moment or two, closing over the eyes. And doing a little scan or an awareness of your sitting position. Notice where your head feels like it's placed. Is it falling forward, or does it feel like it's nicely balanced between the shoulders? The shoulders feel relaxed down away from the ears, or could they be a little bit more relaxed? How about that upright position or upright posture I was just describing? Does it feel okay? Do you feel balanced, stable, or do you feel like you're leaning one side or the other? It's just getting that kind of sense of where that neutral midpoint is. And then becoming aware of the sitting bones. So where you're sitting in the seat, the connection points with the chair, connection points with the floor, hands resting on the lap. And now taking a moment to bring the awareness to the breath. So notice how your breath is today. Notice the breath coming in and going out. Notice the sensations as you breathe in and as you breathe out. So it might be that you feel a breath coming in through your nose or your mouth. You might feel your chest or your tummy rise, or both. Or you might feel a softening as you breathe out. So with each breath out, we're just dropping down into the body. And take a minute to tune into any sounds that are around. Maybe they're inside your room or they're outside the room. Just noticing them for a second. And trying not to get caught up in them. They might be pleasant, they might be unpleasant, or they might be just totally neutral. But just trying to observe them. You know, there might be sounds that you hadn't noticed, or a sound that is very noticeable. See if you can just kind of watch it rather than react to it. And then bringing the hands together. Gently rubbing the palms of the hands together. Noticing what the temperature of the hands feel like. Shape of the hands. Interlace the fingers and turn the hands inside out, pressing the hands away. And you can still have the eyes closed if you like, or you can open them. And maybe tuck the chin in towards your chest and raising the arms a bit. So your back is going to be a little bit rounded while you press the insides of the hands forward. And then dropping the hands down onto the lap. They're still inside out, but lifting up the face as if you were lifting your face up towards the sun. So now your back bends just a slightly different way, pressing the chest forward. And then lifting up the hands again, tucking the chin into the chest and rounding the back. And dropping the hands down and lifting the face. And you might be able to connect that with the breath. So the next time you breathe out, just drawing in the belly and rounding the back and lifting the arms, tucking the chin into the chest. And breathing in, lifting the head, dropping the arms down, pressing the chest forward. And then releasing the hands, just shaking out the hands by your sides. Turn the palms of the hands to face out and lift up the arms as high as you comfortably can. And then breathing out, bringing them back down by the sides again. So turn the palms of the hands to face in when they're coming down and out as they're coming up. So you're breathing in, lifting up, breathing out, floating down. Just once more up. You can look up at the hands maybe, and breathing out, bringing the hands down and tucking the chin into the chest again. This time, bringing the hands up to shoulder height, and the palms of the hands are facing down, and then turn the palms to face up. So you're rotating the shoulders down and up, hands down. You might feel this into the upper arms if you haven't done this regularly, but this rotates full arms. So notice how that feels, just doing that with your breath once or twice more. And that really increases the blood flow to the arms, and then let them float all the way back down again. Give them a shake out. This time you're going to bring the arms out and bring them across the body, giving yourself a hug. Tuck the chin in towards your chest and round the back, leaning forward. And then breathing in, coming back up, opening up the arms and hug yourself the other way. So the other arm comes to the top, tuck the chin in towards your chest and roll forward. So you give yourself a nice hug, a nice rounding at the back. And coming back up again, opening up the arms and letting them float back down again. Shake out the hands. So just once more, one little hand exercise before we get up to stand. But pressing the hands together and lifting up the elbows. Notice if the shoulders are coming up, can you slide the shoulders down? So you're giving a little resistance to the hands and trying to get the elbows and the wrists in line with each other. Don't worry if they're not. And then release. And if the hands and the wrists feel a little tender, just give them a little rock and press the backs of the hands together. So again, you're trying to do this, get the shoulders down, elbows and wrists in line, backs of the hands together. Only as best as you can. It just stretches deeply the insides of the hands. And then the same thing again, releasing, letting go, do a little roll of the wrists one direction and the other. You might even have a few little clicks and cracks of the hands. And then bringing the palms of the hands together, pointing the fingers down. And see if you can how high you can bring the wrists up to be in line with the elbows. And check that those shoulders again can come down. And this stretches, does a deep stretch on the insides of the wrists, insides of the arms, and then release and do that nice little rotation. So really good if you're working on the computers all day. It stretches the muscles in the insides of the wrists, insides of the arms. Rotate those wrists, spread out the fingers, both directions, and then shake out the hands. Shake out the shoulders, shake out the arms. Lovely. Then push away any cushions or anything underneath the feet. Come up to stand. Oh, we have to do our coming up to stand exercise. So pushing away any cushions, making sure that the chair cannot move from behind you. Put the feet a nice hip width distance apart. So nice width to give you plenty of balance. So your knees are stacked over your ankles. And what you're going to do is reach the arms forward to help you lift the hips by using the upper body to counterbalance the hip lift. And look down at the feet, make sure not to tip over that you would lose balance, and then come up to stand. So you're just practicing, you're using your tummy muscles to do the work, the tummy and the thighs. So every time that you're getting up to stand, practice that, that you're not using your arms, that you're using the thighs to do the work and your tummy muscles. So using the upper body to counterbalance. Sorry, I'll just cancel here. Now, coming to stand at the back of the chair. I know I'm a little bit cut off in the head. Let me just see if I can move it a little bit more. I don't think it'll adjust anymore. You just have to be shorter. Make sure the chair is somewhere where it can't slide on you and cause you to slip or anything like that. Hands just gently resting at the back of the chair. And we're going to do an exercise that works into the calves. So you're going to love this stuff. So you're going to bend the knees gently, okay, to give your lower back protection. Lift up the heels off the floor and then bring them back down again. Heels up and down. heels up and down. And do it as slowly as you need to. So just make sure that the knees aren't flying around the place. So your feet are still hip width distance apart, coming up, lifting up the heels, dropping them back down. Lift up the heels and back down. And then come back up to stand. Just see how that feels. Maybe even step out the legs a little, because if you feel it right into the calves, it can be good. And this time we're going to do a little squash down. So you're holding the chair for a bit of balance. Bend the knees and drop the bum as if you were going to sit on a chair. Make sure you can still see your feet and your toes. You're wiggling your toes. And then come back up to stand. So remember, you're using your thighs and your tummy muscles. So bend the knees to sit down in the chair. Stand back up. Bend the knees, sit down in the chair, come back up to stand. And you're pressing the hips forward when you come up to stand. So bending again as if to sit in the seat, come back up, pressing the hips forward. And once more, bending and straightening. Lovely. Now, we're going to do a little hip rotation. So holding the chair with one hand, you can put the hand on the other side. And you can just rotate your hip. So you're doing a circle with your leg in one direction. And a circle with your leg in the opposite direction. And it's the same thing on the other side. You lift up the knee and you can rotate 2 circles and then the opposite. Just check to see how that feels. And then if that's feeling good, we'll do it again. So check that you've got the balance there. Hand on the hip, lift up one knee. Nice little circle in one direction. And if you haven't done this in a while, you might just want to do it really, really slowly and then put the foot down, get your breath, and then do the opposite direction. So you're going to bring the knee inwards. And if you hear a few little clicks and cricks and they don't feel comfortable, just do it lower, don't lift the knee up too high. But when you go in one direction, then go in the opposite direction. And then we'll bring it to the other side, okay? Now, if you're okay, if you're comfortable just holding the chair still with that same hand, that's grand. But if you prefer that you'd like to change hands, you can do that either. Otherwise, just get your balance. 2 nice big circles in one direction with the hip, and then back in. And take a break in between if you need to. And then just do a couple more in one direction and a couple in the opposite. Just getting into that hip. If you've been sitting a lot or even standing a lot. And then we just check in and see how does that feel. So coming to the back of the chair again. Bending the knees. Sit back down on your chair. So sticking your hips back out. And then coming back up to stand and pressing the hips forward. So when you press the hips forward, you see the way you get a little bit of a back bend. And we're going to do that 2 more times. Bending the knees, looking down at the floor, pressing the hips out, coming back up, pressing the hips forward. And then one last time. Bend the knees, press the hips back, coming back up, press the hips forward. And coming back to stand in the center. We're going to do that calf one again before we come back to sitting, okay? So the calf one, bend the knees a bit, lift the heels up off the floor, and then drop the heels. So you're bending the knees. The upper half of the body is hardly moving. So you're lifting up the heels and bringing them back down. Lift up the heels and back down. You feel it in the thighs, like it really engages them. And just 2 more. And come back to stand. And just step it out. Bending those knees. And then turning the chair to be able to come back into a sitting position. So if you want to have your cushions nearby to put under your feet again, if you need to raise the floor a little. And we'll just come down into sitting. So it's been a while since we've done some classes. So come back into sitting, bring the bum to the back of the chair again. Take a breath here. Lovely deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Closing over the eyes. Feel the bum to the back of the chair, backs of the legs on the chair, palms of the hands resting on the knees. And do a little body scan down from the top of the head, down past the shoulders, and tummy in the chest, down along the back, down the arms to the hands, along the legs, lower half of the legs, the feet. Just noticing how the body's feeling and see if there's any particular part of the body that feels a little bit uncomfortable or a little tight. Imagine you're breathing into that exact area. So as you breathe in, you're bringing your awareness to that area. And as you breathe out, you're just imagining that the muscles or even the emotions around a particular area are softening a little. So if there's any chronic pain or chronic emotions that are being held, that we're just allowing them to release a little with the breath. Just inviting them to release a little with the breath. A little like bleeding the radiators. And then just gently opening the eyes again. We're going to breathe in and sweep the arms up. And as we breathe out, we're going to turn to one side. It doesn't matter which side you pick. Put one hand outside your knee. So your knee presses against the hand a little. The other hand to the outside of the chair. So you're sitting up nice and tall and doing a nice little twist. Feel the upper half of the body just turning to one side. And then the next time you breathe out, release the hands and just let them float in front of you over to the other side. So the hand comes to the outside of the other knee and the side of the chair, looking over the shoulder. Just enjoying that little twist of the midsection. And release that side, let the hands float back across the middle, to the outside of the knee and the chair again. So imagine your midline, it's like you're wringing out a cloth. So you're just squeezing the middle of the body, a little twist around the waist. And then the last time, hands float across the middle to the outside and the other side for the last twist. And then release back to center again, hands rest on the lap. Now, if you feel comfortable doing this, we're going to do a little forward fold, but don't let yourself slide forward in the chair or have any feelings of that you might fall. So only leaning forward as far as is comfortable. But if you're comfortable leaning forward quite a lot, you can rest the arms across the knees if you like, but don't put all the weight down on it. But you can rest the arms across the upper parts of the knees and gaze down between the feet. And you're trying to just ease the muscles of the lower back, lengthening the spine from the coccyx or right down at the tailbone to the base of the skull. If you like, you can tuck the chin in towards the chest and you can arch the spine. So it's like you draw, you're doing that cat-cow again. So the arching of the spine, lifting up of the spine. And then keeping in this forward fold, you're dropping the tummy forward and lifting the head. So looking forward. Next time you breathe out, tuck the chin into the chest again and arch the spine. And you're drawing in the belly, so you're getting a nice kind of a rounding of the back. And then breathing in, lifting up that head again. And then place the hands on the upper thighs and just come back into a nice upright seated position. Closing over the eyes. We're going to do a little poem. In fact, want to read you Walk Slowly by Dana Falls. So closing over the eyes, and once again, just doing a little body scan, noticing if there's any parts of the body that need a little bit of extra attention. As you breathe out, just allowing there to be a softness, inviting there a softness into that area. And then I'll just read you this little poem before we close. It only takes a reminder to breathe, a moment to be still, and just like that, something in me settles, softens, makes space for imperfection. The harsh voice of judgment drops to a whisper, and I remember again that life isn't a relay race, that we will all cross the finish line, that waking up to life is what we were born for. As many times as I forget, catch myself charging forward without even knowing where I'm going, that many times I can make the choice to stop, to breathe and be, and walk slowly into the mystery. Bring the awareness back to maybe your sense of touch, where your fingertips are resting on your lap. Maybe your sense of taste, any smells or sounds that you're aware of. Bringing the hands together, your eyes can still stay closed. Becoming aware of any pictures or any colors maybe that you can see in your mind's eye, where your mind may be taking you. Rubbing the hands together, noticing the shape of the fingers, the palms of the hands, the temperature of the hands. Placing the hands at the top of the head, noticing how sensitive the scalp can be and how comforting that can be with a really gentle touch at the top of the head. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe noticing that that's uncomfortable. Bringing the hands around to the front of the face, cupping the hands over the eyes, or just enjoying a little darkness over the eyes. Bringing the hands down along the side of the face, noticing the ears, the jawline, the cheeks. If the teeth are clenched or relaxed, how the tongue is in the mouth. And then the hands down on either side of the neck and throat, noticing your swallow, noticing your pulse. Now one hand on the tummy, one hand on the heart, bowing the head for a moment. Maybe noticing the temperature of the hands or the weight of your hands. Or maybe you can't really sense the hands. That's totally normal as well. Take a nice big deep breath in through the nose. And out through the mouth. Bringing the hands together in prayer position. Pressing the thumbs to the heart center, bowing the head. And just taking a minute to notice, to acknowledge anything that you noticed during the practice, whether it was places that were a little uncomfortable in the body or in the mind, and just acknowledging them, not trying to change them, not judge them, not question them, just go, okay, I noticed that. And notice if there's anything that arose that you might like to set as a little intention, like drinking a bit more water or having a little bit of a rest or doing a crossword, whatever it is, just taking that moment for yourself. And I give you thanks for practicing with me today. Namaste.